Some of the most familiar passages in the Bible are so familiar that we hardly realize what they say. I'm thinking particularly today of the wonderful words of Psalm 23, especially the closing lines of that great psalm. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Recently, I was reading another translation of the Scriptures, one that I've referred to at another time in our gatherings together like this, between you and me, the Ronald Knox translation. He translates that line with these words: all my life thy goodness pursues me. I like that. All my life your goodness pursues me. I begin to ponder about the things that pursue a good many of us. I find that so many people are pursued most of the time, one would gather by what they say, by trouble, by resentments, by bitterness, by unhappiness. And some people would say, with a bit of fairness, I suspect, that they feel that through most of their life, they're pursued by trouble, just flat out trouble. They say it's one fool thing after another, always being pursued by trouble. And it seems that way to them because life has been difficult for them, more difficult than they'd want to be able to say. But the writer of the psalm has another word for it. He doesn't think that he's being pursued by trouble. He doesn't even say, as sometimes godly people will, the devil is surely on my trail. No, he knows what's on his trail. He believes that as far as his trail is concerned, that goodness is pursuing him. It's not just that he has a blessing now and then, not just that he has an occasional indication of the faithfulness of God. Rather, goodness is pursuing him. It's chasing him. I believe that. I believe that a good many of us are running from goodness most of the time. I'm not speaking from the fact that we're running after trouble and that we're running after sin. I'm speaking of the fact that we are so much of the time running away from God's blessing. We do it by our negative attitudes. Instead of seeing life through what the Apostle Paul would say is good and beautiful and true, we instead are choosing to see life through what is difficult, confusing, downgrading, distressing. And if we do that, well then, we are pursuing trouble, and we forget that goodness is pursuing us. I wonder what's pursuing you today. Have you been pursued by goodness all day? You have been, whether you know it or not. Have you noticed that goodness has been pursuing you? Some days you notice that. You notice it when you say at the end of the day, everything just turned out right today. Well, in a very real sense, if we're walking with Christ, everything turns out right every day. Some of the days you don't know it until you wait for 5, 10, 15, 20 years to go by. But it has been good turning out all the way. That's what we mean by Romans 8:28. In all things, God works together for good with those who love him. So, what has been pursuing you today? Goodness has been pursuing you. Blessing has been pursuing you. Some of the time, we ought to slow down just long enough for it to catch up with us. And a lot of the time, we ought to stop fending off goodness and deflecting it the way we do by our attitude, by our responses to God, and simply let that goodness catch up with us. I promise you that God is pursuing you this day, and that God is pursuing me, and that means that goodness is pursuing us. Slow down and let goodness catch up with you. before this hour is over. And if you will, well, you'll know what the psalmist was talking about. Goodness is on your trail. Give it a chance. God bless you.